Joe Randell's story mirrors that of modern Canadian regional aviation. Over the course of his career, he has helped transform the airline business by building a small, two-aircraft regional airline into a global provider of integrated regional aviation solutions. Born in Curling, Newfoundland, Joe has loved aviation his entire life. He began to work in the airline industry as a student, first for Air Canada and then at Eastern Provincial Airways. While taking an MBA, Joe developed a plan for a regional airline, which became Air Nova, the company that he helped found in 1986. Deregulation during the mid-1980s had completely changed Canada's airline industry, and Joe recognized that smaller markets were poorly served by national airlines operating large jets. With smaller turboprops and later regional jets, regional carriers could act as feeder services to the bigger nationals. Air Nova formally launched with its fleet of 2 de Havilland Dash 8s and 40 employees. It served communities in Atlantic Canada and was the first regional carrier to be branded an Air Canada connector. The model proved a success. Joe's business plan had called for expanding the fleet to 6 turboprops by 1991, but by the early 1990s, Air Nova was already operating 10 turboprops, as well as 6 BAE 146 regional jets, and it had placed options on the 50-seat Canadair regional jet. In 1991, Air Canada purchased Air Nova outright, making it the first regional carrier fully owned by the national airline. As it expanded beyond Atlantic Canada and into the United States, Air Nova was no longer a small regional. It had grown into a company with over 700 employees, operating 22 aircraft to 19 destinations.
Working together, Air Nova and Air Canada bring you more departures, more places, and more flight times to choose from than your Zapper has channels.
Impressed by Joe's success, Air Canada appointed him chair of its short-haul strategic review project in 1997, which considered the future of regional carriers. So began a new era in his career, regional mergers. Toward the end of the millennium, Joe saw an opportunity to further expand by merging with the Quebec-based carrier Air Alliance. Air Canada had planned to sell the airline, but Joe made the case for it merging with Air Nova. His company now employed more than 1,000 and operated a 42-aircraft fleet. Joe's success meant that Air Canada soon tasked him with overseeing the consolidation of Air BC and Air Ontario, with Canadian Regional later added to the consolidation following the Air Canada-Canadian Airlines merger. Merging Air Nova and Air Alliance was not simple. Consolidating 4 major regional carriers across Canada proved to be infinitely more complex. And despite deregulation, Ottawa imposed significant conditions and restrictions. The airlines also faced internal challenges. 26 labor agreements had to be consolidated, as did aircraft fleets and regional infrastructure spread across the country. Facing constant change, stakeholders were anxious and unhappy. It was Joe's leadership and communication that helped keep the process focused. The early 2000s were a difficult time for the airline industry. Low-cost providers were increasingly competitive, and, following the terrorist attacks of September 11, 2001, security, screening, and regulation made air travel significantly more expensive. Despite these challenges, in March of 2002, a new regional carrier emerged, Air Canada Jazz. A year later, Canada was badly hit by the outbreak of severe acute respiratory syndrome, which affected Toronto, the largest hub city for the newly formed airline. Traffic disappeared at an alarming rate, and the situation was no longer sustainable. Air Canada filed for bankruptcy protection that April, Jazz included. Joe proceeded to lead the airline through a difficult restructuring process. By 2004, the company had updated its commercial agreement with Air Canada, and soon hired hundreds of new employees, as well as adding 63 regional jets to its fleet. A year after that, Jazz became one of Canada's largest airlines, and, a year later, the decision was reached to take the company public. Having survived the recession of 2008, in 2011, Joe launched the next stage in his career, Chorus Aviation, formed from the conversion of the Jazz Air Income Fund to a dividend-paying corporate structure. Joe and the Chorus team then successfully renegotiated their CPA agreement with Air Canada, eventually extending it to 2035. Chorus further diversified in early 2015 by acquiring Voyager Airways of North Bay, Ontario. The creation of Chorus Aviation Capital in early 2017 was another major milestone, creating a global aircraft lessor with a diverse customer base and fleet of regional jets and turboprops. In 2022, under Joe's leadership, Chorus acquired Falco Regional Aircraft, a move that has positioned Chorus well for future growth. Throughout his career, Joe has served the airline industry through stints as chair of the National Airlines Council of Canada, as director of the Regional Airlines Association in the United States, and as chair and past director of Air Transport Association of Canada. Beyond the industry, Joe has supported the Multiple Sclerosis Society of Canada and the MS Scientific Research Foundation, as well as partnering closely with his alma mater, Dalhousie University, and its Faculty of Engineering. In recognition of his contribution, he was presented with an honorary doctorate of laws. For his pivotal role in the development of modern regional aviation in Canada, from Air Nova to Air Canada Jazz to Chorus Aviation, Joe Randell was named to Canada's Aviation Hall of Fame in 2019 and formally inducted at ceremonies held in 2022.